The greatest day in UFC history was today, and let's get right into this. John Jones has finally retired from the UFC, and this is just making me smile from ear to ear across the face. This is the best day in UFC history, and I'm not going to say much more. I want Dana White just to announce it for us.
Heavyweight division take the title away from him.
John Jones called us last night and retired. John Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC.
One more time.
Heavyweight division take the title away from him.
John Jones called us last night and retired. John Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC.
That's right, guys. The GOAT of the sport has officially retired. The GOAT of the sport has officially retired from the UFC in such a stunning retirement announcement. You get like a Korean Zombie retirement. It's the last fight. Dustin Poirier retirement. GSP retired with the belt around him, heads on his shoulders. Right after he fought, and Stipe retired at least right after he fought, and it's just a great retirement announcement, guys. Nothing like Dana White announcing your retirement at 2 a.m. on a post-fight press conference at UFC Baku, Azerbaijan. And it's not even the fact that Dana White didn't come in with a piece of paper saying, "Guys, we have breaking news for you. John Jones has retired, you guys. The baddest man on the planet has retired, everyone." That didn't happen. We're like 9 minutes into the post-fight press conference before someone asked about John Jones, and he's like, "Yeah, John Jones retired from the UFC." And look at him. He's so happy to announce this.
John Jones called us last night and retired. John Jones is officially retired.
Such a happy guy breaking this
Tom
news.
Aspinall is the heavyweight champion.
Look at his face. He is pissed off. And you know why he's pissed off? Is because he's been promising this fight. Oh, yeah. What's the question? Yeah. Okay. Fight's 100% done. John Jones already agreed to the fight, guys. Fight's 100% done. It's happening this summer in 2025, guys. He's been saying this. He's been saying that this fight has been done, and this fight is going to happen. But we're at a point where we can't even trust Dana White and the UFC anymore with information because they never deliver on their promises. And we all knew this was going to happen. We knew he was going to retire. John Jones made it all but clear that he was going to retire. He's going on podcast to podcast, and every time they mention Tom Aspinall's name, he gets up and leaves. He can't even hear the name Tom Aspinall before he retires. And John Jones didn't retire on his own. We retired him. We, as in us, retired John Jones and Tom Aspinall. Hold on. Look at this. This was John Jones. I'm sorry. This is Tom Aspinall last year in July.
About it. And since I won that fight, he's gone completely quiet, and he'll continue to go completely quiet about me until he retires because there's no way about it. Let's be honest. And since I won that fight, he's gone completely quiet, and he'll continue to go completely quiet about me until he retires because there's no way on earth that he's going to fight me. Not a chance. I will retire John Jones without even fighting him. Not a chance. I will retire John Jones without even fighting him.
And he did just that. Tom Aspinall and us, we retired John Jones, you guys. And this is like this. I don't think I've ever. There's so much stuff to talk about. I don't think I've ever seen a legacy ruined as much as John Jones' legacy has been ruined. So back in 2023 when John Jones fought Cyril Gane and beat him in 2 minutes with a guillotine, after that fight, everyone's like, "Oh, John Jones, everyone's saying the same thing, walk in a room with John Jones, John Jones is walking out of the room. Put anyone in the room with John Jones is the guy walking out of that room, he's a badass fighter, no one." And this is when we get the predictions oh, yeah, John Jones versus Stipe, John Jones versus Gane, oh, yeah, Jones by murder, Jones by whatever he wants. That was a continuing thing that people were saying back in the day after he beat Gane because he beat him so easily. But When he pulled out of the Stipe fight in November, when Tom Aspinall beat Sergey Pavlovich in 1 minute, that's when the tides started to change, you know? Tom Aspinall, this up-and-coming, young, big, fast, prime heavyweight, is like, oh, you know, everyone's like, oh, this guy, Tom Aspinall, this is the guy to beat John Jones because he's the one guy. We're going to go through John Jones' resume in a second, but he's the guy that's like as big, like younger, like everything is going for him, you know? And if John Jones beats him, if John Jones beats Tom Aspinall, there's nothing else we can say, right? He's the undisputed GOAT. That cements his legacy the most. But instead, what we got is John Jones refuses to fight Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall has to defend his interim belt in July of 2024. Tom Aspinall defends his interim belt. And then John Jones comes back not to fight Tom Aspinall and unify the belts. He came back to fight a 40-year-old Stipe Miocic, who, 42 years old probably, I think, who literally has been out of the octagon for 4 years, and his last fight was getting literally murked by Francis Ngannou, right? So he fights Stipe, and after that, we go on the 7-month cat and mouse chase between John Jones and it's not even a cat and mouse chase, it's just like blatant, like just like stalling, basically. In his post-fight press conference, John Jones was like, yeah, I'm not going to retire, you guys. You know, I'm not going to retire. I got one more in me, you know? And everyone's like, oh, Tom Aspinall is going to fight him, right? And then Dana White, from December all the way up until 2 weeks ago, he said, John Jones and Tom Aspinall will 100% happen. John Jones has agreed to fight him. We've been hearing that for about 7 months. And at the end of the day, it wasn't 100% that he was going to fight him. It was that John Jones was going to retire because he's a bitch duck. No one cares about John Jones. And you know what's interesting? John Jones was asking for like, oh, I want the money. I want enough money to, like, fuck you money, right? That's what he said. I want fuck you money, enough money for me not to be mad that I lose, you know? Which is such a great mindset for a GOAT, by the way. But that aside, he says, I want fuck you money, right? And then, like, what is like $30-40 million probably? And what probably happened was what everyone else is saying what happened is that Dana White, Hunter Campbell, and the UFC called his bluff. They called his bluff. He's like, 30 million? Yeah, we could do 30 million. Here's $30 million, right? And that's when John Jones was like, oh, I don't want to fight anymore, you know? I don't actually want to fight anymore. I don't want to fight Tom Aspinall, you know? This is the biggest ducking in history. John Jones is not the GOAT. I'll die on this hill. John Jones is not the GOAT. He's a GSP GOAT. The GSP is the GOAT. And people want to say, oh, John Jones retired last night. John Jones has been retired since he's been thinking about retirement since this happened, dude. This is when Tom Aspinall was outboxing. Hand on his shoulder. Bigger. Tom Aspinall's off his dude. And people think, oh, Tom Aspinall is Tom Aspinall by whatever he wants. Tom Aspinall by whatever he wants. Nonetheless, another reason why I think John Jones retired is because of this. I wish they gave me more information. But last week, John Jones got charged again. I know, surprise, right? John Jones got charged with a misdemeanor or something like that. Let's see. The Journal has learned a criminal summons accusing John Jones of a misdemeanor charge of leaving the scene of an accident in February and was filed Tuesday in Metropolitan Court. I wish there was a way for me to see more of it, but what I understand happening is that John Jones and this lady were in a car, and then they got in a crash, and she had to stay there, but he left. He ran away, you know. And he left the scene, and she was like, "Oh, I don't know the full story, but something like that, you know. Someone was hurt. I don't know, but who's surprised? This guy's a fucking piece of shit, a Roy Chi who doesn't care about the sport, who doesn't care about anything. He's a fucking bitch. He thinks he's the best. He's the fucking devil, dude. I fucking hate John Jones. And this is a great post by Ilanov MMA, a great account on Twitter. But this is what I've been saying for the past few years about John Jones, you guys. Since John Jones retired, this is what happened. This is illustrious, amazing GOAT career, by the way, you guys. This is the career of an actual GOAT, you know. And this is someone who's an amazing, who's done nothing but good for the company. By the way, that's something that Dana White and John Jones have said. I've been nothing but good to the UFC and the company. Dana White has said this too. I'm like, shut the fuck up. You've been nothing but bad to the company. April 2015, hit-and-run incident. Jones was involved in a hit-and-run in Albuquerque, New Mexico, striking a pregnant woman's vehicle and fleeing the scene. He was stripped of the UFC light heavyweight title. Stripped, and that ruined an event. So he was stripped from the UFC title because he got in a hit-and-run with the pregnant lady. Such a great guy getting a hit-and-run with the pregnant lady. 2015, hiding from drug testers. Jones admitted to hiding under a cage at Jackson Week MMA to avoid a Nevada State Athletic Commission drug test, claiming it was due to marijuana use, not PEDs. Daniel Cormier called it a criminal mindset, which is true. Daniel Cormier is right. He does a Roichi, and he's a bitch who cannot win naturally. July 2016, doping violation for UFC 200. He literally ruins UFC 200 by juicing up against for a fight with DC, and he ruins UFC 200, one of the biggest cards of all time. That's three things. July 2017, Turnbull positive test for UFC 214. Jones tested positive for the anabolic steroid Turnbull after defeating Daniel Cormier, resulting in his win becoming overturned to a no contest and a 15-month suspension. So he gets stripped, and he couldn't fight DC. By the way, this guy's like 6 inches taller than DC, 5 inches taller than DC. He couldn't fight DC naturally, and he had to cheat to fight DC, by the way, you guys. And, you know, DC is the best opponent he's ever faced, but it's true. I mean, like, he can't win naturally against DC. So that is a stain on his legacy. April 2019, battery allegation. A waitress in Albuquerque strip club alleged Jones assaulting her, put her in a chokehold, and touched her inappropriately after she refused a private dance. Amazing guy. September 2021, domestic violence arrest. Hours after his UFC Hall of Fame induction, Jones was arrested in Las Vegas for misdemeanor battery, domestic violence, and felony under vehicle tampering. March 2024, assault allegation against drug testers. Jones was accused of assaulting and threatening a drug testing agent at his home. I remember when this happened. He agreed to attend 4 hours of anger management classes to resolve 2 misdemeanor charges. So that was just a little bit. I'm going to give you guys some more stuff. You ready? Sometime he beat his wife, left her bloody on the floor, so his kids found her while he ran away. That's an amazing thing to do, right? Number 2, he ducked Francis Ngannou, he ducked Dominic Reyes rematch, and he ducked the Tom Aspinall rematch, holding up divisions for a total of 5 years probably, because he didn't want to fight Francis Ngannou, and he took 3 years to bulk up for a 5-week notice event against Cyril Gane Fat. Okay. What else has he done? He's done a lot of bad stuff. Like there's this thing too. Listen to this.
Room. He's bouncing around, he's having a good time, and he said, "I got a question for you. I said, "Yeah, what's your question?" And he says, "I need somebody." And there's an individual.
This is John Jones in the locker room before a UFC fight, and this guy is John McCarthy, referee, by the way.
There, and that individual was a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
And what happens is the referee comes in before the fight, and they talk to John. They talk to the opponent, saying like, "Hey, this is legal. This is not legal, by the way, you guys." Any questions? And fighters ask questions. So this is what John Jones is asking him.
Jiu-Jitsu, and was working for the commission, and he says, "Is someone getting on the ground for me?" Right, and so this guy, being a ground guy, and being someone that was, man, I'm in John Jones's locker room. This is great. And so he says, "Oh, I'll do it for you." He says, I know how to roll." And so he goes down. He says, just put me in guard, right? And then John decides to do a sexual act with him, saying, what if I do this, right? This isn't illegal, right? And the guy who was on the ground, quickly his eyes went, as big as they could get. Like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "John, knock it off, right?" And I helped the person up, and he goes, "I'm just joking." And he goes, but really, what could you do?
So John Jones sexually assaulted one of his people in the UFC. That's one of the things. It's crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. And I might make a video on this. I might make a video on how John Jones actually is overrated. I know it's crazy to say, but let's look at his resume really quick. Look at this. I'm gonna look at a couple of these. This was a good one by Mokano. But like people post this stuff, and I know, it's like, oh, excuses, Mickey Mouse, right? I'm usually not a fan of these things because it's like giving an excuse for every title fight. But some of these are right, you guys. Some of these are right. Shogun Ruhua, 6 years older. That was to win the title. Also small and just a big. He's middleweight, right? Maybe lightweight. I feel like Shogun Rua could go down a lightweight. Anyways, Rampage Jackson, literally just a big middleweight, and he's 9 years older than John Jones. Lyoto Machida, middleweight plus 9 years older. It's true. And these guys are not even good, by the way. These guys are just Pride guys. People coming from Pride. And these are not even good wins. I'm going to be totally honest. These are not even that good wins. You look at a resume like Tom Aspinall. He's beaten Volkov. He's beaten Pavlovich. He's beaten Gon. Not Gon. He's beaten Blades. He's beaten Spivak. He's beaten Tibura. He's beaten... he's beaten one more guy. I don't know. That's like 5 of the top 10 heavyweights. And I think there's one more. Vitor Belfort, yeah, middleweight plus 9 years older. Rashad Evans, same thing. Chael Sonnen, middleweight plus 10 years, literally middleweight, by the way. Literally middleweight, short notice, came up. And not to mention, he was offered, John Jones was offered to fight Chael Sonnen on short notice. Okay? Chael Sonnen on short notice. Chael Sonnen is a middleweight. John Jones is light heavyweight. If John Jones is the GOAT, he would have accepted this fight. What he did instead is he turned down the fight, and the fight was canceled. The event was canceled because John Jones ruined an event because he doesn't care about anything else except for himself. Gustafsson, he nearly lost. That was a good fight. That's a good win. But Gustafsson, that was a really close fight. People say Gustafsson won. I think John Jones won by a little bit, but that is what it is. Glover Teixeira, bad. Daniel Cormier, that's his only good win. And Daniel Cormier was 8 years older. If they were both 30, maybe it's a different fight. Ova St. Peru, 5 years older. Daniel Cormier got overturned because he was on roids. By the way, he was on roids for one of these. I think it was Ova St. Peru. Gustafsson, another steroid. Steroid has to do. Anthony Smith, he couldn't finish Anthony Smith, by the way. He nearly lost to One Leg Santos. He lost to Dominic Reyes. I think Cyril Gane was paid to lose this fight, but that's just my opinion. And the Stipe, not even worth mentioning that one because Stipe is 42. Okay, so I'm just saying, John Jones is an overrated, roid wife beater, a horrible human being who doesn't care about anyone. He doesn't care about his company, his fans, or anyone but himself, and he only cares about how he perceives to everyone, how he looks to everyone else. He's a horrible human being who tries to play nice. He's a duck. He's a coward. He's a bad person. So good riddance. Good riddance. And that's actually all I have to say, really. Fuck John Jones. Finally, this heavyweight division can get moving again with Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is going to become the greatest heavyweight of all time. And I'm going to be honest, I think Tom Aspinall is 2 wins away becoming the greatest heavyweight of all time. Not many people want to hear that, but it's true. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Fuck John Jones. Glad he's gone. Good riddance. Fuck him. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champ. And we've always considered him the heavyweight champ. But John Jones stalled the division for 7 months, and we finally got this news at a post-fight press conference in Azerbaijan in the middle of a post-fight press conference in Azerbaijan at 2 a.m. in the morning. What a great retirement for a coward. Fuck John Jones. Good riddance. Piece of shit. That's all I got to say, and goodbye.